Hey everybody, this is Josie with Cedar Creek Homestead. I hope you had a wonderful Easter weekend. We did. It was beautiful here in Oklahoma, or at least the part of Oklahoma I'm in. It was a little chilly in the morning, but it was a beautiful, beautiful day. Sunny and not too hot, not too cold. And we enjoyed having time with our family and friends and celebrating the resurrection of Jesus. And I thought we'd talk a little bit tonight about hiding places. What got me to thinking about this was Saturday, how Blade decided that he needed to mow the yard, and so I went in the backyard and cleaned the yard up and gathered up all of Foxy's bones that I could find. And remember, I said that he has a boneyard back there when he goes out. And it seems like he always, I know he doesn't, but it seems like that he always manages to find a bone and brings it home with him, and he carries it all around the backyard, you know, playing with it or gnawing on it or whatever it is he does with it, and usually ends up burying it in one of my flower beds. But I had to make sure that we got all of those so that Blade didn't get it with the mower. And I always leave the backyard, and I take the dogs out of the backyard so that they're not in the way while Blade is mowing. And as soon as that mower turns on, Foxy is, if he could, he would get in my lap. But he gets as close to me as he possibly can. You can't see daylight between us. He gets right up there, sheltered up against me, and try, because he thinks I'm going to save him from this big bad lawnmower. And you know, Sadie, she'd never heard a lawnmower before. She didn't really know to be scared of one, but she saw Foxy and his reaction and could tell that he was scared, and so she was scared too. And she got up under the rocking chair there on the porch, and she hid herself, put her little paws, and she was trying to hide from that lawnmower, like if she just laid there really still and covered her eyes, that the lawnmower wouldn't see her. Now Foxy, the tractors can run, the diesel trucks can run. He can get out there and chase after those big mama cows and the bulls, which are way bigger than what he is, and they don't bother him a bit. But you let that lawnmower turn over, and he is trying to find a place to get. Well, I found that kind of humorous in a way, that that he's scared of the lawnmower. And then I got to thinking about what scares me. And of course, I've shared with you guys a lot that snakes and spiders and storms and, you know, there's lots of different things that scare me. But I try to remember what my first memory of being scared was. Now, I can't really say that this is my very first memory, but this is what came to my mind. And it really fits in with what I was wanting to share with you today. When I was probably 5 or 6. I might have been a little bit younger. But Aunt Wanda, I was at her house, and her son and his girlfriend, and then her sister and her boyfriend were all the time together, running around together. And they had come over to Aunt Wanda's house, and for some reason, every time I was around that guy, he scared me to death. And I have tried to remember what he looked like. I've tried to remember. He never, I don't even think he hardly ever spoke to me, really. But for some reason, every time I saw the guy, I was scared to death of him. Well, Aunt Wanda had this big, old, heavy table in her kitchen, set off against the wall. They never really sat at that to eat. They had this low bar that you pulled your chairs up to, and you sat around that and ate. She had a small family, and they just sat around that and ate. And as long as I remember, that big old huge table was big enough to sit 6 to 8 people. It was always up against the wall, and she had flowers sitting on it. That's what I always remember, houseplants sitting on it. But when they would get there and I saw him coming, I was seeking a hiding spot. I was out of there. I wasn't enough to run to Aunt Wanda or Uncle Harold. I had to get a place. And so my hiding place in her house when I was scared of that guy was under Aunt Wanda's table, and I would get way back in there, all the way up against the wall, and they would peek under the table and try to coax me out of there, and I just wasn't going to do it. That was my hiding place, and I felt safe and secure from this guy. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about tonight, was our hiding places, and what good are they, and why we need them sometimes, and do you have a hiding place? Well, out here on the farm, this time of year especially, you see the mama hens beginning to set on their nest of eggs, and they go broody, and they'll set just as still as all get out. And I've seen them sit when it's hot, and they'll just sit there, just get off long enough to get a little bit of something to eat and a little drink, and then they're right back on the nest. And those little mamas, they work so hard, and they get those eggs hatched out, and they've got those little cute fuzzy little baby chickens, and mama is so proud, and she'll go out through the yard and taking her babies here, yon, and everywhere, just showing them off and teaching them how to be a chicken. And every once in a while, she'll sense danger, and mama will put her wings out, and she'll fluff herself up, and she'll begin to cluck to her babies, that are out and about her. And they come running and get up under her wings, and she tucks them all in, and she protects them. She is a hiding place to those baby chickens. And Howie says that when his grandpa would have a chicken hatch off, and they would have baby chickens and running around there, well, at nighttime he would just take a wash tub out there, and he would turn that, mama would have all of her babies there with her, and he would just turn that wash tub over on top of that chicken and the babies, and then through the night she was protected from predators. They were protected if a storm was coming or whatever. And then the next morning his grandpa would go out, and he'd take that wash tub off, and mama chicken would go on her way with her baby chickens. And so not only was she protecting her babies in the hiding place that they had found in her, but she also had a hiding place. She was covered under that wash tub, and she was safe and protected from the things that could hurt her. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you that are watching this channel and other homesteading and farming channels know that know about chickens. But chickens, they will give their very life for their babies. They will sit there, and a predator can get them easily because they're protecting that baby. But that wash tub will protect them in the night. Things come up that we don't see a lot of times because we're in the house and we're asleep. But skunks can come up, or raccoons, or possums, or coyotes especially, and all kinds of other things. And so mama protects their babies, and then the farmers were protecting the mamas. I just love that. I love that story. But what happens when you get a baby chick, when mama goes to clucking, and you get a baby chick that's not paying any attention in the world? They're just doing their own thing, scratching around and learning how to survive as a chicken, looking for bugs and turning dirt over and chasing after grasshoppers or things that they see that interest them. And mama's clucking, she's seeing the danger, and she's hollering, and she's clucking for them. And they get too far out away from her and don't hear her cluck. Or they're so busy and so preoccupied that they don't hear the call of danger, and they are captured. And most of the time with a little chicken, if they're captured, it doesn't go well for the chicken. Same thing, I guess this is a talk today, lessons on the farm. But I was thinking about our cows. And our cows do a lot of the same thing. They know their farmer. Howie could go out and holler at his cows, and they go to bawling. He could start his truck, they recognized his truck, and they would go to bawling. They do the same thing with Tex, and they do that with Howie. They know that we're their farmers, we're their people. And they know that a lot of their needs are met through these people that are here. Well, we rotate them from pasture to pasture, and pardon me. This time of year, the grass is really getting to growing, but we still have to feed because the grass is not up there yet, mature enough yet, just to feed the cattle on their own. So they have to have some supplement, and we rotate them, and they'll eat their hay or they'll eat their grain. And if you leave them in one pasture too long and the grass is growing, well, they'll eat that pasture down, and they won't have anything to eat. So they go out and they move those cows, and you always have some that stand around the hay bale, just like the little chickens. They are busy scratching, not paying attention to their mama clucking. Well, Papa Tex or Blade, they go out and they holler, and sometimes I do too, but I'm not very persuasive with the voice, because of course I've got a mama voice, a sissy voice, whatever you want to call it, so I don't sound very authoritative when I holler for them. But anyway, they'll holler for them, and they'll hear that truck, and some of them respond to that truck, and they know, especially when a new bale hay's been put out, or they see them up there at the feed troughs putting grain in. You've got some cows that respond to that, and they'll take off running when the gates are open and opened for them, and they will make a beeline right to that grain. They know exactly where it is. They know exactly how to get to it, and they're not wasting no time getting up there to the grain. And you got others that'll stand around the old hay bale and get, just stand there munching, not have a care in the world. They're not paying any attention at all. And then, after all the grain has been eaten, the cows will suddenly realize, where's the rest of the herd? And they get to looking around and realize, hey, I might have missed out on the goodies. And so they'll go to running. You'll see them come running all the way from the far pasture. They'll run all the way up there just to get up there to the feed bins. And then all the grain is gone. They've missed out on it, and they'll do it every single time. We've got the same cows. You know who your lead cows are. You know who the ones are that kind of know what they're doing, and you know the ones that are going to waste their time dawdling around, not paying attention to their surroundings, not paying attention to anything that's going on. And I would say today that we've got people that are just like those cows and those baby chickens that I was going to say put their head in the sand, and I got to studying about ostriches, and they say that ostriches really don't put their head in the sand, that is not really a truth, that what they really do is they don't build a nest like other birds do. How make a bird's nest. They actually dig a hole and put their eggs. And so they said sometimes what the ostrich is doing is just rotating her eggs, moving them around. You'll see a chicken do that. And when you have stuff in an incubator, they have to be rotated too. A turner. They have a turner in there to move them from back and forth like this. And so that's what that ostrich is doing. Now another site said that what they're doing is using that sand for grit, like what chickens do for their crop or whatever an ostrich has. But anyway, nonetheless, I know people, and I'm sure that you know people, that they just wake up in a new world every day, and they just absolutely refuse to see that anything might be of any concern. They just go about life. They just doing life, and they're trying to catch that, scratching around looking for the worm, or trying to just dawdle around in the hay pasture and miss out on the grain. They just fail to see that there's dangers lurking around us, and that there's reasons why you need to have a hiding place, a place of refuge. Now, my granny and grandpa, and I'm sure your granny and grandpas did, and you probably do too, and I'm working on it, have storm shelters, storm cellars. Most people call them, around here call it a cellar. And my great granny and grandpa had a storm cellar that was built into the hillside, so you didn't have to go down any steps or anything. You just opened the door and walked in. And it was a place that you weren't allowed to play or anything like that. You could look in there, but you were not allowed to play in there. You never took things in, you never took things out. What they deemed was to be in the storm shelter or the storm cellar was what was to be in there at all times. And I can tell you exactly to this day what was in my great-grandparents' storm shelter. There was a bunk bed, a metal bunk bed, and like what you would have at church camp. And then there was a one of those old red lanterns that hung on a hook or something, and hung on something, I don't remember that part. And kitchen matches, the box strike kitchen matches. And to this day, when I smell one of those kitchen matches, when it's struck and it's burning, I always in my mind go back to my great-grandparents and always remember what it was like to be around there. They had their storm cellar. My granny and grandpa that I lived with, they had a storm cellar. Theirs was built into a hill, but not to that you walked in. You had to open the door like this, and it had to be propped open, and then you went down steps to get into it. And sometimes it had water in it and frogs and other things. But suffice it to say, if the danger was coming, if there was a tornado coming, you were going to get in there even if there was water in there, because the bigger fear was the tornado. Just like my great-grandparents, my grandparents, you were not allowed to play in the storm cellar. That was just some place that you didn't go. That was for a hiding place, a place to get into when danger was coming. Now, my farm is a hiding place to me. I don't mean that you can't see my farm, because you can. The road goes by here, and you can see my farm. But what I mean is it's a place of peace for me. And I hope that your place, whether you have a farm or a homestead, or you're in the suburbs, or even if you're in the city, I hope that your home, your personal home, can be a place of refuge for you, a place to get away from the chaos of the world, a place to get away from all the drama that we know exists. When you know, you can't help but get up, turn on the news, what do you hear? Chaos and drama. You go to work and you listen to people in the break room, what do you hear? Chaos and drama. Sometimes, I hate to say this, but sometimes you can go to church and out to work to eat with people after church, and you can hear chaos and drama. It's all around us, and we can't pretend that it's not there. We can't pretend that there's not evil in this world and things that just press against us all the time. It's there. We can't be like the little chicks and the dawdling cows that take too long to get to their blessing. The farmer's going to bless them by giving them that grain, but they miss out on it because they don't pay any attention to the things that are around them. Well, guys, we have to pay attention this day to what's going on around us. There are things that are turning and behind the scenes that we really don't know everything. They don't tell us everything. And they're not always telling us the truth. And that's a hard thing to take in, you know, that we're not being told the truth on a lot of things. And, you know, you don't have to go into a lot of detail about things. You just know that when you hear something, don't take it for face value. You know, you study it. You do what you can to make sure what you're hearing is the truth. A lot of times we get in trouble on some of the social media platforms because it's real easy just to click share, and we've shared something that's not true. So I always try to be very careful if I'm going to share something. It's usually a song or a recipe or directions on how to make something or something that I know for sure that it's a fact. I will usually go and research something before I repeat it because I don't like to lie to people. And I know that we can do it in innocence sometimes, but we need to do our level best to, what do they say? Ignorance is bliss. Well, it isn't always bliss. Sometimes we can hurt people unintentionally by repeating things that we really don't know to be fact. But back to the homestead, back to the farm. This is a place of peace for me. Howie and I loved, and I love, to garden vegetables and flowers. And Howie liked flowers too. His favorite's marigolds, and I'm getting ready to put some marigolds in some of the planters out there, just as a nod to him, just as a way to look out and see those marigolds, their little heads getting bigger all the time and waving in the breeze, and I'll think of Howie. But we like our place to be a place of peace, a place of renewal, a place where you can come and shuck off those things. And it's not the same as putting your head in the sand, burying your head in the sand, pretending that that those things aren't there. You know, Sadie, when she hid under that rocking chair, she did the best she could do just to lay there, you know, with her little paws, and she kind of done her little bowed her little head, lowered her head, and she didn't move. She just sat as still as possible so that lawnmower wouldn't see her, it wouldn't hurt her. And we do that in our lives sometimes. We hear the things on the news, we see the reports on social media platforms or wherever we're getting our news from. We see those things, and the first thing we do is, if I don't react, if I don't get involved, then it'll all go away. But folks, we know that the things that are going on now, a lot of that's not going to go away, and it's going to get worse as time goes on. So the best thing for us to do is find our hiding place, find our place of refuge, find our place that we can rest and we can be comforted. And most of the time it's our family and the place that we love to be. We need to be aware and see the dangers, see the traps, and do something about it. You know, don't hear the little cluck 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 and keep going. You know, run to your hiding place, run to the spot that you need to be in, and then when you get there, ask yourself, what is it that I'm going to do here? Now, this is my refuge, my hiding place, but if you're on a farm at any time at all, or a homestead, or even there in the city or in a suburb, you know that you can't just sit down on your chair and say, okay, I'm in my hiding place, this is it, I'm gonna, you know, until the end of time. We can't do that. There's always work to do. There's always something. You know, you need to garden, you need to, you know, grow. I'm speaking, of course, for me here at my place. I have to garden, and I have to can, and I have to put things up, and I have to look well to the way of my household. And you have to do whatever it is at your place. You know, maybe they're in a suburb, you know, you're working, your spouse is working, and you don't have anywhere to grow things. Then you know, find a farmer's market, find your groceries. Don't feel guilty. I've said this over and over. Looking well to the ways of your household, you're providing for your family, and if you cannot grow things, then don't feel guilty in buying things. But make sure that you have food and water, that one of the big things is to get yourself out of debt. Get some financial freedom. Don't get yourself, they used to say, and I hope that, they used to say, robbing Peter to pay Paul. And Howie and I used to say that too. And what we always tried to do was not to borrow from something else that we had set aside for a bill or a project or something, just so in the moment we could get whatever it was that we were wanting at that time. Sometimes you have to wait. Sometimes, we have to take on a second job. Sometimes we have to say, we're not going to the movies, or we're not, we don't need another new outfit, or whatever it takes, to get yourself out of debt and get some financial freedom. All of those things can become a sort of hiding place to you, a place where you can just relax and shuck off the worries of the day. Well, our ultimate hiding place, guys, we know is the Lord. Psalm 91, and there's another psalm, I can't remember it right now, but Psalm 91 tells us that he covers us with his feathers. Just like a chicken, the Lord will cover us with his feathers. And I'm not, I'm just simply saying that the Lord will protect us. Yes, he will. That doesn't mean bad things don't happen to us, because we live in this world, this sinful world, and things are going on. And so, yes, there's sickness. Yes, there's death. And yes, there's financial woes, and there are, there's evildoers. Yes, 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 and yes. There's all of those things. But God is our refuge. God is our hiding place. And if we will trust in him, he's going to help us. Now, that doesn't mean that he doesn't require us to do something. We have to do it. We have to plant the seeds, and we have to water, and we have to care for those chickens and those whatever other animals we have. And if we work out on a public job, we have to get up in the morning and get in the car and drive to work, and we have to put in an honest and hard day's work, whatever it is that we do. We have to do that, but we can stay sheltered in the Lord and be, safely in his care, and know that no matter what comes, no matter if it's financial woes or sickness or something in this country catastrophic, like some of the things that we went through this last year, we can rest in knowing that the Lord has us in his care, and he covers us with his feathers, and we're going to be all right. We'll come out of this thing victorious if we'll hold on to him and keep prepping on. I know prepping is a dirty word to a lot of people, and there's a lot of people that made it a dirty word because they acted kind of silly about things. But prepping is not a bad thing. Our grandparents did it. Their grandparents before them did it. I guarantee you could go all across this country and find old storm cellars that have things in it, crocks where they made sauerkraut, and they done all kinds of things and stored their apples and potatoes and all those things, and they didn't rely on the store all the time. And we don't have to do that either. Just get to work. Anyway, this is Josie with Cedar Creek Homestead. I hope I said something today to encourage you. I don't ever want to leave you in unencouraged, or I don't want to leave you defeated. I want you to feel encouraged. I want you to feel we can do this, and pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get to work. And that's what I got to do. I have lots of work to do, and it's time to get busy. So I love you guys as always, and until next time, we're gone.